February 26, 1987, and this is Dimitri Perparos, and I'm interviewing grandfather John Sarlas at my house in Chandler, Arizona. Okay, first of all, where were you born?
I was born in Greece, not where the donuts come from, but in Greece.
Where? In what town?
In Zevgancho. In other words, we cut it short and we call it the Zebi. Zebi.
Okay. And your birth, what's the circumstances of your birth? Like, were you born in a house or hospital or what?
I was born in 1907. And naturally I was born in a house. We had no hospital those days. And I was born right next to the fireplace. We had two little rooms there. One was the fireplace where we sleep for the winter time, and in the summertime we had a little dining room there. That's what we call it.
Okay, what was your family then? Like, what was your parents like? Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I had a father and mother. My father's name was Chris, and my mother's name was John. And I had three other brothers. My oldest brother's name was Gus. I was second, and my name is John. And the third one was Harry, and which he passed away about 21 years ago. And I have another brother, the youngest one. He was 7 years younger than me. My mother didn't believe in women because to have girls because they had to have dowry at that time, you know. And my mother couldn't afford that. So we were four boys over there. We worked hard. When we were little, we worked hard.
What did your parents do? What was their occupation?
They were farmers.
Both of them?
Both of them, yes, sir.
What were your grandparents like?
Same thing.
Or was all the way
They
back?
were all the way back farmers there. But the only thing we raised over there was wheat to make bread and grapes to make wine. And corn for the pigs. That's all, chickens. That's all we had.
Okay. After your birth, describe some memories, like, of your childhood. What were the holidays like at your house? What holidays did you celebrate?
Oh, holidays. We celebrate all the holidays. We were waiting for the holidays, so we stopped working. We didn't have to work then. The place I'm an Orthodox, and we believe in the religion. The religion we have, there's 365 days to a year. Out of the 365 days to a year, take 52 Sundays. 52 Sundays you don't have to work. Saturdays, once in a while we might work. And then there is other holidays between St. John, St. Dimitri, St. George, St. this, St. that, you know, there's about 60, 70 of those there. Now, there's 60 and 50, that's 110 days. 100 days we didn't work. Now, the other days, in the winter times, there was rain days, cloudy days, a little snow here and there. Another 100 days over there. So we only put in about 60 days out of the year of work. Just 60 days of it.
What was the typical meal in Greece? Like, what did you have regularly from breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
For breakfast we had drachana, that means oatmeal.
Okay.
That's all we had over there. No milk, there was no such a thing as milk.
Not
Once
from
in
the
a while
cows?
we had any goat. No, we had no cows. But if we had a goat once in a while, we milk it and we put the little milk in there.
That's how you make the cheese, right? From
Yeah,
goat's milk.
that's right.
Got the cheese. Okay, for holidays, you ate during holidays, right?
Holidays we
Special.
had pretty good. Holidays we had pretty good meals there. These are our best meal on Sundays. That my father used to kill a chicken because we always had chickens over there. Kill a chicken, and us kids we were the best. We were helping them. We were trying to help do something, you know. So we used to pull the feathers out of the chicken. In order to pull the feathers out of the chicken, those days, we didn't scorch water, real hot water, after you kill the chicken. You put scorch in there and they come off easy. Yeah.
What about?
And my mother used to make that chicken with potatoes or hilopitas. Hilopitas is made out of squares dough. What do you call it? They have here too. Huh?
Like pasta?
Like pasta, yeah. What is there was squares, small squares there.
What about, I saw on one movie, home movie, someone killing a lamb, a sheep.
Oh yes, because that's very seldom, you know. Like to Christu, my father used to kill on his name day. And Easter, make sure we always have a lamb. And Spanagiyas, that's the 15th day of August, we always try to have a lamb there for those 3 big holidays. And we used to barbecue it after we clean it and everything. You know, it takes about 6-7 hours to barbecue the lamb.
Stuff it with garlic.
Everything, you know, oregano, garlic, pepper, salt.
Okay. When did you start school in Greece?
When I was 13 years old. I was in Greece. I was about 5 or 6, 5 and a half, 6.
How long did you go to school?
Till I was 13 years old.
Okay, describe the classroom. You started in kindergarten.
Kindergarten, huh?
Describe that classroom.
We sit on the floor. Kindergarten sit on the floor there. We had wooden floors. We had no pops belly stove there. In the winter time was there. Otherwise we had to sit there. Yeah. We had Rania, in other words, benches. Maybe 2 or 3 benches there right in the front of the class. And right behind we had the seat, for the kids sit down. What do you call it, Rania? The seats for the kids that were sitting. Desk.
What did you write with and write on?
We used to write those days, pardon, with Contigli.
What's that?
Contigli. Blackboard, instead of having the blackboard writing with chalk, white chalk, there was something else made out of stone. They call it Contigli. And we used to have the blackboard. It was square, about a foot square. We carried it in our pockets. That was the paper. No paper those days. Pencil and ink and all that. No, not for us anyway. No.
What were the age requirements for the different rooms? How many rooms did you have?
Just 2 little rooms. That's all.
The first room was for what age group?
From first grade till the 3rd grade. And the other one was from 3rd grade till 6th grade. 3 rooms, 3 classes in each room.
How did you get to school? Was it far from your house?
Oh, we had to walk. There was no transportation. Forget about transportation.
And any extracurricular activities? What did you do after school?
Throw stones to each other. We had nothing, no toys or nothing. We played with stones. That's all it was.
What classes did you take in grade school? What classes, like math and history?
No such a thing. Whatever the teacher does, small things. To me, I just wasted my boyhood days to school over there playing. That's all.
Okay. What was the education for the rest of your family? Did your older brothers get a better education, or your
No,
younger brothers?
no. My youngest brother got a better education. My youngest brother, because he was 7 years younger, and he went to school, things were better there. Things were better.
Okay, what about entertainment? What did you do when you were in school? Like some of the games you played at home or with other kids?
We used to play amadres. In other words, We put a piece of stone right in the hole about 10 feet away from me to the stone over there. And we throw bigger stones, see who's going to knock it down. We play with stones. There was nothing else, no toys. There's no, absolutely no toys. Nothing to play with.
Okay, so after you got out of grade school,
Yeah.
1 through 6, where did you go then?
Well, as I was saying, that I had a teacher in my grammar school. His name was Michalakis Gargalionis. He was an uncle of mine. This uncle of mine, he respected my parents very much, and he knew that I wasn't an expert. I was just a dummy. That's what and I was no good at all. But he passed me every year he passed me. So I passed the 6th grade because he was the teacher, who was my uncle in the test. And then when I went to high school I had to go to town.
What was the town?
Tripolis.
Okay. How far away was that?
Oh, that was about a half hour's walk. 25 minutes to half hour's walk. And the teacher told us, well, we have to write something about what?
Education.
Educational things about the history and all that. And he passed the paper around on the seat to everyone, and he gave me one, he gave me pencil, of course I had no pencil. And by answering that question, he collected the papers. After we got through, he collected all the papers. He came by me, and I didn't have nothing down, nothing on the paper, nothing. He says to me, what's your name? I said, John Sarlas. He says, did you go to school, the grammar school? I said, yes, sir. He says, who was your teacher? I told him, my uncle Michalakis Gargalionis. He says, you go back there and tell him that he didn't teach you nothing, he says. Just like that. Oh, he was bad. He was bad.
So what did you do then?
So, in the meantime, we had sent to an uncle of mine to the United States. My mother's brother was the president of the Atlas Exchange National Bank. And we wanted to come over to the United States. And he was working to bring us over here, and the papers wasn't through yet. And by the time the papers came through, it was the time that I was rejected from the high school. So my father told me, he says, well, Johnny says, you don't have to worry about the high school no more. He says, the papers came, we'll go to the United States.
What year was this?
1920.
Okay.
And when he told me that I don't have to go to school, I said, I was so happy there.
So then you decided to come to the United States.
So I finally came to the United States.
What did your family think about it? What did they think of the United States?
Oh, I came here with my father.
But what was their reaction? Did they want you to come? What was?
My mother, she came from, my father, he didn't know how to read or write. My father, he didn't know how to read and write, didn't go to school, period, because his father died when he was 17 years old. And he got married when he was 19. And my mother, like I said, she was from a little better family because she had 5 brothers and 4 sisters. And my papuji, my grandfather, he teach the boys, put them through school, but the girls, they couldn't write their name. None of them. He teach girls, not even one of them. So, he says to my father, he says, Chris, he says, because we were so poor, we had nothing, completely nothing. I tell you so many things that raise your hair on me. So, he says, can you boys just go to the United States? He says, go by Uncle Pete, he says, by my brother, he says, Pete, he says, and bring back, he says, stay about a year, he says, bring back about $200, $300. so we can fix the house and this will live in quarters.
So who was in the United States at the time? What members of your family was already here?
That was my mother's brother. His name was Anagis Grigoropoulos, in other words, Peter Gregor. And this Peter Gregor, I still have the $5 bill in my pocket, where his name was on the $5 bill, because in the National Bank those days, the president's name was right down below there. I got the $5 bill there today, I can show you. In other words, I think I will. I got a copy of it. I got a copy of it here. And you take it with you and show it to your teacher. Show to your teacher. There you are. There you are.
Okay.
This is the front part, and this is the back part. Yeah.
Okay.
So he brought us over here. And now what else you want to know about your country, not tell you what happened to me over here?
Well, what was going on? Were times really hard over in Greece?
Oh, very poor. Let me tell you, Dave, it was so poor we had no money at all. Those days they used to have pennies and 2-cent pieces, nickels, dimes, quarters, half a dollar, and dollars. I never seen paper money. We never seen anything like that. And in order to go to church those days, you have to have best light a candle or something. You have to drop something inside, coin, penny or 2 cents or a nickel or whatever it is. And my mother, she couldn't go to church because she didn't have a penny to buy a candle. No money, period. There was no money at all. She said, how can I go to church? How can I go to church? There was no money at all, nothing.
So the main reason you left Greece was to get more money and then eventually go back to Greece.
We were poor, that's right. We were poor, so yeah. To go back there, you know, live a little better comfort, you know.
You were going to live with who when you came over here?
I was living with my father, but I had an uncle of mine, this uncle of mine that sent the papers for me to bring him over here, to come over here. He was the president of the Atlas Exchange National Bank of Chicago, Halsted and Post, Halsted and Taylor Street. Halsted.
So you were planning on going back to Greece with the
I
money?
No, that's what my father told me, and my mother told me back there, but I had different ideas, you know, when I saw the pretty girls over here. I changed my mind.
So when did your father think you were going to go back there after you made all the money? When? What age?
Well, no. From 1900, I was 13 years old. From 1920 to 1930, I was 23 years old.
Okay, let's get now to the day you left Greece to come to America. What was it like?
Well, I was in the winter time there, right, just before Christmas. My mother had a couple of brothers in Athens, Greece over there, so we stayed there for about 20 days, you know, before we came to the States here. It was cold there. It was cold at night. So we had to get the boat to come to America. So we went to Piraeus, to get the boat. So my father said goodbye to my mother, you know, and everything was, yeah, and he said, because I was, you know, I was nothing. I didn't have nothing in my mind, you know, girls and all this stuff. So he says, but my father says to me, go over there and kiss mother goodbye, good to see you. For a long time, you know.
So who actually came over? Who actually went
It was
with?
me and my father. We came together.
Mm-hmm.
So we came by the boat. With the
Okay.
boat. There was no airplane those days.
Yeah, so you left Greece.
We left Greece and it took us 30 days in the ocean
Mm-hmm.
with a boat by the name Megali Elas, in other words, Big Greece.
What was the boat ride like? What?
I got so sick that it was pathetic. I threw my guts. That was terrible.
Were there a lot of immigrants from Greece coming?
About 1,500.
Wow. Was it just an immigrant boat taking you there?
Yeah, just the Greeks, just the Greeks. You know, if you like, we pick up a few Italians there too, on our way over there. And we landed in Ellis Island. That's where the Statue of Liberty is now.
What was that like? What described the day you arrived?
Well, how can you describe the day that when we arrived over here in Ellis Island, we have to go through an inspection, you know.
What was that like?
If you have any kind of sickness or anything, they test you and everything, you know. They look at your eyes, see if you got any glaucoma, what do you call it?
Glaucoma.
Glaucoma there. And if you have any glaucoma, they put an X mark in the back of your, with white chalk, they put an X mark in the back of your coat. And if you pass the inspection, they hang a ticket right in the front of your coat. So there was a girl over there, and she said, "What's this?" And I told her, you know, what I do, you know, much, you know. And she says, "What's the X stand for?" I said, "To her, if you don't pass the inspection, the X stands that they're going to ship you back to Greece." She said to me, she says, "I'm not, I don't pass the inspection." She says, "I'm not going back to Greece." She said, "If I could put an X mark on my coat," he said, "and they start sending back, I will jump over the boat and say I'm going to kill myself. I don't want to go back there and face my girlfriend that I'm going back that I had glaucoma or whatever."
So you and your father passed all right?
Oh yeah, we passed all right.
And then, how long did you stay there?
Oh, pardon me, for a minute. I'll tell you. As we were approaching New York Harbor, the Statue of Liberty there, I saw lights, you know, way up the big buildings, you know, there was lights. We saw them at night time, lights, color. And I said to my father, "What's those there?" In Greece, when they have little churches up in the mountains, there's a little light shown, you know, from distance. And I said to my father, I said, "They got mountains over here, they got a lot of churches up there." I said, "And there were the high-rises." I didn't ever see a high-rise, never.
So you came in at night and you saw that was your first day. So then you got off, and then how long were you in?
No, I didn't get off there. After we passed the inspection, they give us the okay to go to Chicago to meet my uncle over here. Uncle that kind of place. And they made a lunch for us, because those days there was no airplanes, like I said, there were just trains. So they give us a box lunch, and when I tasted the ham, I said, "What delicious ham." And then I look at the banana, I didn't know what the banana was. I didn't know how to eat it. I started eating it with the skin on.
So it was very different then.
Oh yes.
So you got on a train where?
We got on a train in New York. Well, I don't know. Some people. Yeah. And we came over here in the morning about 8 o'clock, 7:30 or 8 o'clock it was. You know. And we went by my uncle's staying right next door. There was a restaurant there, so we went there and waited. Yeah, so my uncle came in about 8:45. He was going to the bank now. He was the president of the bank there.
So you came from the train from New York all the way to Chicago.
Yeah.
How was that ride?
Boy, that ride was, that was really some ride that I never won that fast before. The only thing I used to ride over there when I was home, donkeys, mules, horses, that's all we had.
So the new methods of transportation were different.
Those days was first class, you know, trains were the first class.
Mm-hmm. So just describe what you saw. What attracted your eye when you came over?
Oh, that attracted my eye. Everything. First of all, the lights, the lighting system. You know, there's rows of lights in the street. Not here, whenever in the world. In my village, we had only the lanterns, that's all. We had no lights, totally.
So you came in Chicago,
Yeah.
in the train station,
Yeah.
and you got out, and what caught your eye?
Well, those days, the automobiles, there was an automobile here and there. They used to have horses here too, you know. They used to have horses over here and buggies and all this stuff, you know. Because in certain streets, every so many streets, they had fountains for the horses to drink water. And they go all the way around, you know, give the horses a drink.
Okay, where did you stay? Like, where in Chicago? Where was your uncle's house? Was it?
My uncle, I had another uncle over there, he had a store, so I had to go over there and go to school, and I worked for him. It was on 33rd to 3300 Wallace. 3300 Wallace. And I went to McLennan School. McLennan School was on 35th and Wallace.
So you started school again here. What grade did you start here?
Oh, when I went to school, I had to start in the kindergarten.
And you were 13?
I was 13. I had to start in the kindergarten.
What was that like compared to Greece? What was that school like?
Oh, big difference, big difference, big difference. So anyhow, when I went to school, I had an interpreter. There was another Greek girls over there, Greek boys, you know, and they would tell me, because I still get. So I went to school, George School. First of all, I lived down about 3 months there by the Greek town there. And I had to go to George School at Harrison also. And when I went over there was, I had to go to the kindergarten first.
What was that classroom like, the kindergarten?
Just like it is now, you know, but the kindergarten, I had to sit on the floor. So I had to sit on the floor myself. The kids that were there before, it was cold, the floor was cold, you know, and they had rugs, you know, they were sitting on the rugs. I didn't have no rugs. So the teacher, she told me something I didn't understand now. This is me, this is going to come and interpret and tell John to go home, when he goes home, to tell his mother to give him a rug so he can sit on it. So I go home, you know, Saturday in the afternoon, and I told my father about it. I said, Dad, I said, the teacher wants me to get a rug. Told me to tell Mama, I said, to get so I can get a rug so I can sit on the floor. He says to me, is she crazy or something? He says, there's no such a thing. Your mother's not there. What am I going to get the rug? He was here to make a couple of dollars, you know, so he could send the old country. But anyhow.
So what were the grade levels from here? After kindergarten, you went to...
After kindergarten, I stayed there about a month. And then they saw that I didn't belong there. And every month I graduated, you know, I went to first grade, second grade, third grade, you know. Anyhow, for the 6 months that I stayed in there, they put me up in the 7th grade.
What were the major differences from the grade school here compared to the grade school in Greece?
Well, it's a big difference. Over there we had nothing to learn. It's just the surroundings of the school. For history, I didn't know no history at all.
So they taught you a lot more subjects than here?
Here.
What about the classroom rooms? Were there the same amount of classrooms?
No. Over there, they had, say if there were 60 kids, they had been in one room. They get the six together. Here, they had 36 or 38, 40 kids in every room. And when I was in the 3rd or 4th grade, I had to use ink over here. We didn't have no fountain pen. We had the ink on the end, on the top of the desk. We had to dip the pen in there and then write.
What was your life like then besides school? What else did you do after the school day?
Here in America?
In Chicago.
In Chicago. I was working for an uncle of mine on 33rd and Wallace and going to school on 35th and Wallace. In that school over there, it was the year that Mayor Daley, he was going to the same. We didn't know each other. We didn't know each other.
What year was this?
It was 1921.
How old were you?
Almost a bit 14 I was. 13 and a half, 14.
And what grade were you in?
Well, that grade over there was starting from the 4th grade on. That's when I graduated. Started the 7th grade.
So after school, what was your life like after school?
After school, I used to deliver orders for my uncle on the little wagon. I used to pull the wagon, and groceries. I used to deliver groceries there. So when I take the groceries to the people over there, some people give me pennies, some people as a tip. For 2 cents, nickel, it's a miracle. If a penny or 2 pennies, that's all they give. That's all it was.
Okay, so your life wasn't just school and work. What else did you do? What was your entertainment here? There's much more of an opportunity.
No, we had no entertainment there. Just work at school. That's all we had.
No?
No, now we got everything here.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got to go to church. Yes, Sundays I just go to church.
Was the church different than in Greece?
Oh, yes. In Greece, the churches over there, there was no seats on the church, nothing. Just go inside and pray for about a half hour. That's all. It takes you 2 hours, an hour and a half to pray. Where you sit down. But over there, you have to get that.
Did it take you a long time to get adjusted from life in Greece to life in Chicago?
Oh, sure it was. Sure it did.
What were some of the changes?
The changes was to get acquainted because you had no friends there. You had to make American boys making friends. I had to start playing with the boys. They were teaching me how to play, because I didn't know how to play. They would play football. What do I know about football? They would tell me to play baseball. What do I know about baseball? Nothing. Marbles, yes, I used to play marbles. I was pretty good.
How long did it take you to learn the language fluently?
Oh, not fluently, but it took me about a couple of years for sure.
And you were making money at this time. How were your family back in Greece doing?
The family was, my father used to make, he was making $25 a week. He was the janitor for my uncle. $25 a week. And he used to send $20 a week home because my father borrowed money on his land so we can come over here to get for the tickets and then get over here.
So what were his working hours during the week, your father?
Oh, my father had to go down there at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30. He used to drop the bank over there, clean the bank, And we used to live upstairs for about 6 o'clock.
And what time did he come home?
He used to go upstairs. I said there was no home. He used to come downstairs upstairs. Upstairs.
Well, what time was he off?
When the bank opened up, then he had to go upstairs. Then. From 6 till 9, it was 3 hours, and then he come go over there in the afternoon. Now, when the bank closed it, then he'd start doing other things,
Oh, so it wasn't that many hours.
No.
What about your family in Chicago? About your uncle? How did you
My uncle was living in the north side there. He had one son, and I used to keep him company. He said 5 days a week he used to go to school, and Saturdays and Sundays I go and play with my cousin up in the north side. He's still living yet. He's the only guy living yet. He's going to be 80 this year. In May he's going to be 80, and I'm going to be 80 in August.
Okay, transportation. They had the horse and buggy back in Greece, but you came over here. You didn't see the invention of trains and automobiles. You came over here after they were invented. Your first train ride over in America was in 1920. And when did you first ride in an automobile?
In an automobile, there was a fella on 29th and Wallace. His name was Tom Berens. And he bought the first truck. And I rode in this truck. The first truck that was made those days, there was no inner tube in the tires. All around the tire, the wheel and the tire over there, they had holes over there for the springs to be, so they wouldn't bounce hard.
So how old were you when you drove the truck?
Oh, I didn't try to throw to, no, not till I was about 17, I think. But I drove the horse and wagon delivering the orders there, the horse and wagon. I used to go and hitch up the horses in the barn. It was about a block away from the bunk over there, and I used to bring it over to the store.
What was the city like? Was there a lot of paved roads, or automobiles? A lot of automobiles.
Yeah, those days, all the city streets, the thoroughfares, were all built with bricks.
Like cobblestone.
Yeah, all the streets, the thoroughfares.
Mm-hmm. So when did you ride on those? You rode on those with your truck?
And there used to be a streetcar. Those days there was a streetcar, one way and the other. And when you drive your horse and wagon, the wheels go right in the streetcar. And the horse just kept going right in the middle of the streetcar. When the streetcar was coming close, it started ringing the bell, ding, 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 ding. They had to get out, then the streetcar passed by.
Okay, so continuing with transportation, the first airplane.
Forget about, oh yes, the airplane. Aha.
Where were you when the airplane was?
When the Cub planes come out first, they used to be on 111th and west of Western Avenue in Chicago. And they were given rights to the people, whoever wants to go downtown, one customer at a time, one passenger at a time. The pilot and me in the back. It was $2 to go all the way downtown and come back. So I sacrificed $2. I had $2. I scraped it out, with that. I want airplane ride. $2. Never forget my first ride.
What was it like? What was the airplane like?
Oh, I looked at it. What year was that? Must have been about 19, right after the Depression days. 1933, 34. Right when Roosevelt became a president, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, your first motion picture that you saw, when was that?
There used to be an old theater, Halsted and Madison Street in Chicago. And it used to be 5 cents. 5 cents to go and see the silent movie. And Saturdays or Sundays when I didn't have to go to school, I used to go and see double features, or I see the feature twice, the movie twice, 3 times sometimes. I can play 5 cents, and maybe 5 cents for the popcorn too,
Describe the local theater.
Oh, that was a hole in the wall. That's what it was. It was nothing. It was a garage, a little garage like that.
What were some of the movies?
The best movie I ever saw was Charlie Chaplin. I saw Charlie Chaplin in the Gold Rush.
Mm-hmm. What year was that?
I don't remember exactly the year, but anyhow, I saw Charlie Chaplin in the Gold Rush when he went to find gold. And he bought a strainer, something like that, he went on the river to strain, but really was there, he didn't find no gold at all. So he got hungry. He was so hungry, he ate whatever he had, he ate everything that he had, and then there was nothing else to eat. So he took his shoe out, and he boiled it in the hot water, just boiled it, and he was eating the leather. While he was eating the leather, he was taking the thumbnails, is that what you call them? Right at the end, it's nailed all the way around.
Yeah.
All the salt from with the shoe.
What about your first talking picture? What was that?
My talking picture was 1926 when Al Jolson was playing Sonny Boy.
What was that one?
That was something. That was the first talking picture. No. A couple of days before that, there used to be a vitaphone, what they call. And there was talking picture there. But the first real picture was 1926, Sonny Boy with El Jolson.
Okay, what about at home? Did you own a radio?
Are you kidding? Oh yeah. The fellow that I used to work for, he had a radio there. And the radio, there was no loudspeaker. They had to have earphones on. You put them on and listen to it. And one time they were wrestling. He was listening to the wrestling. So he had to put it over his ears to listen to the one round. And then he'd take the earphones and give them to me so I can listen to the second round. And give it back and forth there. That's what it was.
What about the music of that time period?
Don't talk about it.
What, didn't you?
I used to
dances
I
and
used to
stuff?
go. Yeah, I used to go to the barn dances. Oh, I used to go. I like this barn dance.
Mm-hmm. So did you celebrate the same holidays here that you celebrated back in
No. Oh, I celebrate my name day, and Easter, Christmas were about the same. But the name days, all the name days, we don't celebrate. Even now we don't celebrate.
Okay, so the year is about 1921, 22. You graduated from grammar school, then what did you do?
Then my father told me, says, I got to go to work. I wasn't 16 years old, and I had to obey orders, you know. I had to go to school till I become 16 years old. And I went to work for this candy store fellow there. And the tune officer came over there one time and grabbed me by the ears and said, hey, you got to go to school. So I thought, we're going to mind. My father told me to work. I said, I got to go to work. He says, no, I said, you got to go to school. So anyhow, when I went to school, again, I told him, I told him, he said, I got to go to work. So he says, as long as you got to go to work, why don't you go to night school, she says to me. And I went to Jane Addams School for one night at her school, Jane Addams, on Alton and Polk Street. I went over there for one night, and after that, I became 16, I think, or something like that. Then I was back.
What was that school called? Jane Addams?
Jane Addams School, yeah.
That's what it was called?
You know, Jane Addams, she was the girl over there, so she was the original to send the kids, you know, the night school for the kids.
Yeah, she invented the whole house.
The whole house, that's right.
Do you remember anything about the whole house?
No, I just said it was there one night, that's all.
Oh. Okay, so then you started to go to work.
Then I started going to work again. My first work, I went over to work for this uncle of mine, Uncle Wallace. I worked for him 1 year. And I was staying in his house and delivering orders and everything. So he gave me $250 for the whole year. So my father says to him, he says, hey, John, he says, not even $1 a day. He says, you didn't pay him nothing. He says, what is this thing that's tough? He says, that's all you can give. So anyhow, he took me out of that and sent me over to another store on 29th and Wallace, 2959 Wallace. And I went over there, he gave me $35. $35 that month. And I gave it to his house.
What did your father do at this time?
My father was still at the bank there.
So you worked at this other job. What was that?
Grocery store.
Grocery store?
Yeah, delivery and clean up the house, the store.
Okay, so then, when did your father go back then to Greece?
In the late 1926, in the late 26.
Okay, and what about your family? Was anybody else over here, or were they?
No, my brother came over here after 2 years, 1923, he came over here.
How old is he?
Yeah, he was 2 years younger than me, year and a half or younger. That's the one that passed away there. And we worked together for the Central Mine there. And then we opened up a store of ours, fruits and vegetable store there. We were young kids.
How old were you?
I was about 18 and my brother was 17, something like that.
So you opened a fruit store, fruit vegetable store.
Yeah, we're making pretty good money. We're making a profit maybe $10 a day for the whole business, $10 a day. It's a lot of money.
So was your family back in Greece?
Yeah, my father went back there.
Did you keep sending them money?
Well, yes. We all went back. Not much, but we were sending money.
So they were getting by. So then how long did you work at this food stand?
We had it about 2 years, and then depression came.
Mm-hmm.
We lost everything. Well, yeah, we bought a truck. We were making money at the time. We bought a truck, Dodge truck. We paid $1,340 for the truck. We couldn't get it on credit because we wasn't old enough and nobody signed for us. So after we lost the business and everything, I became a peddler. I used to peddle in the alleys, fruits and vegetables, you know. And I used to go in the alleys with my customers in the neighborhood where I had the store. So when I went over there one day, I said, we're going over there, we make pretty good money, you know, $20, $25 profit a day. You know, it's just vegetables are good with a lot of money. And I said to my brother, I said, well, you didn't do nothing. I said to my sister, how about coming over and help me? I said, well, split the profits. I said, no, he said, I don't want to become a peddler. Anyhow, I convinced him, he came over to give me a hand one day, and I had to go out to the third floor. The customer had to get out on the porch. She says, well, give me a pack of potatoes, give me 2 pounds of spinach, give me 6 oranges, or whatever she wanted, you know. And then I take it up to the third floor, fourth, second, or third floor. So I said to my brother, I says, come on over. He says, we split the profits. So he finally came over. One day he came over. We went down to market early in the morning. We bought the vegetables, filled up the truck and everything. And we started from an alley that I always start, you know, and I used to go near the same alley I change alleys every other day. One time I go in this alley, next time I go there. So those days, they used to holler. The peddlers used to holler. So when we went outside there, right in Redneck Furniture Store over there, on Green and Peoria. And when I went over there, I started hollering, oh, nice yellow crystal peaches, 3 pounds for $1. Well, my brother found out that he heard the note. He put his hand right in his mouth, and closed the bar, and he took off. I never saw him like that. He was ashamed, you know. I said, what the hell are you ashamed for?
So what year was this about during the Depression?
About 1929, 28 or 29, something.
So this is what you did all during the Depression?
Yeah, Depression. And then I had a truck, and then I sold it. I got a little money, and I used to play the horse at the time. I wasn't done with everything. And I had nothing there. But when I closed the store, I saved a bucket, empty bucket, the squeege, a brush, and a shovel. I took it with me, and I put it in my basement where I used to live over there. So in the summertime, I used to go and wash windows down 79th Street, there where I had the store there. I used to ask him, you know, you want the windows washed? He says, how much do you charge me? I said, whatever you give me, you know, whatever you give me, 10 cents, 15 cents, they give me 40 pounds. And And in the winter time, I used to take the shovel and I used to go to the customers I had and shovel the sidewalk, you know. So I finally went to a woman, her name was Mrs. Harrington. God bless her. God bless her. I don't think she's living now. So I go and knock on the door. I said, Mrs. Harrington, would you like to have your sidewalk cleaned because it snowed that day? She says, how much you charge? She says, John, how much do you charge? I said, what do you want to give Mrs. Harrington? I said, she says, John, I haven't got no money, but I'll give you a bowl of soup. I said, Mrs. Harrington, I'll take it. So after I shoveled cleared out the sidewalk over there, I went inside, take the soup. And she told me it was kind of cold and all that, and I said, well, fine. I sit down in the kitchen over there, and I was eating the soup there. It was oxtail soup, it was. Oxtail soup. So after I ate the first bowl, she says, would you like to have another? I said, sure, that's delicious. I said, give me another. Because I was so hungry. No money.
Where did you and your brother live during that?
My brother and I lived on 79th and Ashland. On the third floor, there was a lady there by the name Jameson. And we used to live in her, she had one room, and we pay $5 a month for the two of us. Sleep in one bed.
What about, did you go through the slums? Did you get a slums and everything in Chicago?
There was no slums those days. We thought the war was there was no slums. There was poor people there, slums, yeah.
What about tenement?
No, there was no such thing. No. Now they are.
So, all in all, did you have to work harder here than in Greece?
No, I like to work here. Because out there, when I was a kid, I used to work out in the fields. And I was barefoot all the time. Winter or summer, you know, barefoot.
So you had better clothes than these two?
Yeah, I had clothes here. Over here, I never had a pants till I came to this country. I had like an underwear. They looked like underwear.
Okay, what else was different over here? You said you like to work here better than in Greece.
Yeah, I like to work here because there was money involved. And I used to buy candy, I used to buy ice cream. Yeah, one time I went downtown on Sunday, I went to a shop. And when I came home, where I used to live on 32nd Quarter, it was kind of early, and I went downstairs and bought a quart of ice cream. It was 15 cents those days. I took the quart of ice cream and I ate it all myself. The whole thing? I can't believe I ate the whole thing.
So what about the people around you in Chicago, the highlight people? Did you see a lot of them?
Well, no, not where I live, though. I didn't associate. I just associated with the Greeks there mostly. And they were all second-class people, all of them.
So they all lived in like
All
the
lived,
same
yeah,
area?
same area.
And all
Higher-class people, we didn't mingle with them because we didn't belong there.
So in Chicago there were like a Greek town and
Yeah, there
Chinatown.
was Chinatown, Greek town, right, Chinatown, Maxwell Street down there, still down there. Maxwell Street still over there, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, until the next interview, Dimitri Perparos and John Sarlas signing up.
Well, all the things that I'm saying now happened 67 years ago. That's a long, long time. And I'm still here yet. I can tell you fill up another interview 30 years from now.
Hopefully.
Hopefully that.
Interview number 2, Dimitri Perparos interviewing grandfather John Sarlas. Okay, we'll begin with Armistice Day, November 11th, 1918. Do you remember the Armistice Day?
And as far as I'm concerned, I didn't even know there was an armistice day in those days because I came from Greece. And I tried to, I learned after I came here to this country for 5, 6, 7 years, I found out what Armistice Day was.
What were you doing at this time in your life, around 1919, 1920?
1920. Well, in 1920, I was still green yet. And I had to go to school to learn. They put me in the kindergarten class. I went to door school on Harrison and Hosted. And my teacher's name was Mrs. McMahon. I'll never forget her. Well, I was learning at that time, sitting down on the floor. The teacher wrote on the board 3 questions. My name is Skip. My name is Run. My name is Walk. So anyhow, one of the girls had to come up and pick up somebody there by the name Mr. Run. So they pick up the boy and they run around the room and they say, my name is Run. And they start running all the way there to sit down again. So they finally came to me. My name was Skip. Not Skippy, Skip. So the girl took me by the hand, and I was skipping around the room. That's something I'll never forget. So the next one was the walk that came along. So there was a big fat boy over there. He got up, The girl picked him up, took him by the hand, and they started walking around. He was just walking. He barely made it all the way around the school. Anyhow, that was my kindergarten there.
The Roaring Twenties. The invention of the automobile, radio, and motion picture affected many lives in many ways. How did each one affect your life?
Well, first of all, you're asking me about the Roaring Twenties. Well, I was still green yet. I didn't know much about Roaring Twenties. But anyhow, you talk about the radio. Well, those days, we had radios with earphones. There was no televisions and things like that those days. So we used to listen whenever there was a fight that time between Jake Dempsey and Gene Tunney. And when I was staying over there with these people, each one had to listen to one round. That round, you had to take the earphones and put them on your ears and listen to them for one round, and then pass them on to the next person. That's the way the radio was then. Now, for the automobiles, there was something different. Yes, I can say no, but I've seen an automobile in the old country when I was young. The first automobile that I saw in the old country, I was outside playing with my brother out in the street there. Because we had no automobiles, we would play on the street. There's nothing, nobody was going to kill you or nothing there. There was only horses we had over there. Horses, donkeys, and mules. That's all there was in my village. So there was an open car came in my village. Somebody came to the village. I don't know who he was anyway. And I saw it first. No, my brother saw it first. And he came up to me and he says, John. He says, come here. I says, what is it? He says, here comes the with 4 wheels. We didn't even know what it was. We didn't even know what it was. So that was the first car I saw. Then when I came to this country, I seen the cars and all that. And between 1920 to 29, I got folder. You know, I quit school after 6 months. I graduated from school in 6 months. I graduated. I got my diploma from grammar school, and that was it. I went to work, but I wasn't quite 14 years old, and my father says to me, "You got to go to work." He says, "Because we got to have money, because I got all my land at the home is back home." He says it's sold on. I put it on a piece of paper that the guy, if they don't pay, if we don't pay in a year's time, they're gonna take our land away. So anyway, I went to work in a little candy store. Those days they used to have candy stores.
Okay, when did you first buy a car?
Now you're asking me when I bought the car. Well, little by little, I was only 14, 15 years old, and I opened up a little fruit store with my brother. My brother came to this country a year after I did. And we opened up a little fruit and vegetable store. Those days, you know, you just put up a couple orange boxes down on in the store, and you sell oranges and celery and potatoes and all that. Try to make a living. And I was making pretty good money. You know, not much. You know, $2-3 a day was a lot of money. Those days was a lot of money. So anyhow, when I made enough money after a year or two, now you're asking me if I had a car. I like to have a car too. So while I was working, I was saving my money, and I had about $400 in the bank. $450, I don't know exactly what it was anyhow. So when I was buying my fruits and vegetables, his name was Charlie Quaid. I said, "Charlie," I said to him, "I'd like to buy a car, but I haven't got enough money, and besides that, I'm not old enough. Somebody has to sign for me." He says to me, "I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll buy the car for you, and you pay me in payments. It was $10 a month, something like that, anyhow. Whatever it was." So he says to me, "What kind of car you want?" I said, "I'd like to have a Chrysler." Those days, the Chryslers, they used to advertise on a billboard, $695 FOB Detroit. That means FOB that you have to go over there and get it in Detroit. So Charlie Quaid was a nice man over there to me, and he sent a fella that used to work in the store, and he went and got the car from Detroit, Chrysler. So anyhow, he brought it to me. It was a nice blue car there. Oh, and you know something? It was two-seater, and it had a mother-in-law seat in the back. Of course, I didn't have no mother-in-law. So we fixed up everything. We signed up the papers, and I was paying him $10 a month, whatever it was. And so I says to him, "I'll pay each other for it." So anyway, like I said, Charlie Quaid was a very good man. He had no car. He was a rich man. He was in business. He had no car. But I want to have a car, because that was the youth of those days. So he says to me one day, after I had it for 2-3 months, he says, "John, can you let me have the car one Sunday so I can take out my wife and my kids?" I said, "Charlie, fine. I'll let you have it. Whenever you want it, I'll wash up the car, clean it, and bring it over to the store, and we'll take out your wife." I said to him. So, well, anyhow, we agreed with that. When I took the car over there that night, I was on State and 71st Street. So when I took the car, I went inside and I said, "Charlie, here's the car, here's the keys, and I'll pick it up Monday." He says, "Thank you, John." Says, "Thank you very much. I'll appreciate that." So in those days, the street was quite a wide street, and the people had to park in a sled, you know. Well, I parked the car in the slant ways, and after he closed up the store, he went outside to open up the door. While he opened up the door, there was a fella there. He was fully drunk, and he ran. As soon as he opened the car, then he put his one leg inside. The fella came there and he hit him and he broke his legs. He broke both of his legs. So anyhow, Charlie stayed in the hospital for about a month, which I still think that I'm the cause of it. Anyway, after a month he died. So anyway, I stayed over there for about, in business for about a year or so. And then depression came along. That was in 1926. And depression was coming along. Hoover was the president of the United States those days, you know. And while the depression was going on, now you're talking about depression. Depression was real depression. I was about 20 years old then, about that time, in 1929 or so. Anyhow, I got married, and no money. I went out of business because there was very people hadn't had much business that paid the rent, $65 a month rent. So when I had to go inside in the city that I have to have money. Something to fit my family. So those days, the people, they used to put them on WPA. They used to work out in this. No, Roosevelt came. That's right. Roosevelt came along, and he put everybody to work. He had everybody on WPA. So it was giving me $15 for the ration coupons to buy dried beans, only dried beans. Only dried beans. No cigarettes, no this, no that, nothing. Just dried beans. Just to exist. Nothing else.
Okay, when did you first buy a radio?
Well, I never bought a radio. You're talking about a radio? I've never had a radio. Now you work on a studio stand set, you know, there's nothing now. You buy a radio. No, didn't have no such a thing those days, sir. You talk about alarms, too. People were kids, you know, they had alarms. There was no such a thing those days. Sometimes, you know, if the kid had alarms, you know, they give 1 penny or 2 cents. That's all. Now they have to have dollars.
What were your favorite radio programs?
My favorite programs was those days on the radio was Amos and Andy, but they didn't call them Amos and Andy those days. Their names was Sam and Henry. Sam and Henry. And I remember that Amos was a taxi cab driver. And Amos, he was one of those lovers, you know, he had a girlfriend by the name Crystal. That was my favorite program. It was used to come on at 10 o'clock at night. It used to be for 15 minutes only on the radio, nothing else.
How were you affected by the radio?
The radio didn't affect me too much because there was no money involved there to go out and buy a radio and walk around with it like we do nowadays. Forget about it. And what else was it on the radio there? That was the... Oh, yes. There used to be the Lucky Strike program. They used to call it the Hit Parade. With Snooky Lansing, and let me see who else is on there. Snooky Lansing and the mind don't work like it used to work now, so you know. And they used to have a hit parade. They used to play the third song first, the second, and the first one they used to play it last. What song was the best song of the week? That was the hit parade. Right?
Did you go to the movies frequently during the 1920s?
Oh, yes, I used to go to movies those days. My favorite movies were those days Charlie Chaplin. There were the silent movies those days. There was no talkies or nothing. We'll come to that, when I saw the first Turkey movie with Al Jolson in 1926. He's the fella that sang on vibraphone those days. They used to call it vibraphone. Now, my favorite music was Charlie Chaplin. And my first movie was, I saw Charlie Chaplin, it was in the Gold Rush. Now, we had Harold Lloyd those days. I don't know if you have now, but cowboys, I used to go for cowboys. I used to like Tom Mix, it was the best one. That was my favorite there. Tom Mix, William S. Hart. Who else was there? All the cowboys, I used to like them. Then every time, I used to see the movie, it was always continuously. So while Tom Mix was born with his horse, and he would jump over, he would jump from the one cliff to the other one over there, and then they shut off the picture and they say, to be continued.
Were there subtitles in a lot of movies you saw?
Now, the subtitles. Talk about, first of all, when I used to go to show, we used to go only on Saturdays or Sundays. Because my allowance those days, there were 5 cents. 5 cents was the show. When I had to go to show, we used to pay 5 cents. And when I used to get inside, if some other kid buy the popcorn, all right, because I didn't have no nickel for the popcorn. So when we was sitting over there, sometimes we sit for 3, 4 different pictures to see it all over again. We had no place to go. So we stayed there for 3, 4 pictures. And it was only about 3 blocks away from where I used to live. And every time we go over there, we just watch the pictures, which is the night, we look, they had pictures those outside those days, outside the theater, and this year, it's going to be continue for another week, or they're going to, tomorrow's going to play a different picture or something like that, and we used to just look around. We had no money to buy nothing there.
Did any theater that you went to have a piano player?
Oh, yes, no, just a big theater had a piano player over there. So, when the Capitol first opened up in the city of Chicago, there was the first theater with the stars on the top of the roof, the clouds rolling by, and they had a girl there playing the organ. There wasn't piano those days. No, there was pianos before in cheap shows, but this one here was the first organ I ever played on in the theater. So they had about, when the theater first opened up, and there was very nice theaters there. And when they had about 50 ushers over there. 50 ushers to assist the people inside there, and they used to stand outside for blocks and blocks to go inside and see the first play that I saw, like I said, there was Al Jolson there. And when people were staying inside, then let me tell you what happened. We'll jump a little bit here and tell you. One of the boys that was the ushers over there, of course I was younger than the usher. The usher, was assisting the people over there in the seats and that. This fella here, when I went in the service in 1941, he was from my neighborhood. He was a captain, and I was just a soldier there, So when I went over there, he asked me, he says, where are you from? I says, from Chicago. He says, where did you used to live? I said, tell him about it. He says, my name is John McElroy. I I used to live in your neighborhood, and I used to be an usher in the theaters. And I says, I don't know you. I said, but I know there was a beautiful place, a lot of ushers over there those days. I said, anyhow, he was my captain those days, so.
Who was your favorite movie theater actor?
Well, those days, my favorite movie star used to be, he was, Rudolph Valentino, the son of the Sheik. Rudolph Valentino, the son. He played the son of the Sheik. Later on, he played the Sheik alone, you know. He used to play the Arabian countries, you know, in the Arabian countries, you know. He used to ride the horses out in the deserts and all that. Oh, that was too bad, that poor fellow. He died a young fella. Very young there. And I understand he died in his early 20s or early 30s. No, in the late 20s or early 30s. And this girl that was in love with him, you know, she used to go and drop, there was a lady in black. And she used to take 1 dozen roses, put on his grave every week. She put it every week. I don't know if she passed away now or not, but she used to put every week 1 dozen roses. That was his lover. I'm pretty sure that was.
Okay, I've given you a list of the names and terms that were prominent in America during the 1920s. The terms in quotes were slang terms used back then. Identify just a few and give the story behind each one. I'll bet you have at least a story or two about Al Capone.
Talk about Capone, Al Capone. Well, Al Capone, I used to live in Halston and Taylor Street. Halston and Taylor Street was a knuckle of mine. He was the president of the bank. His name was Peter Gregory. He still has his name on the $5 bills yet. In the Atlas Exchange National Bank of Illinois. Anyway, Al Capone was a nice man. I didn't know what Capone, the black hands and all that. I didn't know nothing like that. Nothing bothered me. I lived with him. And in that building that I lived, there was a big building there. My father was the janitor. And he used to clean the hall over there. And while he was cleaning the hall over there, you know, they used to have a dance hall upstairs. And when they had a dance hall, they had weddings, and they used to eat candy and the cakes and cookies and all that stuff. Oh, that was my favorite guy. So Al Capone, during the Depression days, he had soup lines there. So I went there once. I wasn't hungry, but I wanted to see what's going on. So I stood in line there maybe for about a half hour to get a bowl of soup. Anyhow, Al Capone was a nice man. I can't say nothing. Because I served his mother. I served his mother when she used to live on 83rd Street and near State. I used to have a grocery store over there. Then his mother used to come and she used to live on 8341 Prairie Street. That's the address which I still remember yet. Which God bless her. She used to give me 5 cents, 10 cents when I used to take care of her over there. God bless her there. She was a very nice woman there. Movies those days, Lord and Hardy, that were good too. Now we come to L. Smith. L. Smith was the governor of New York. And he used to smoke a cigar all the time. And he wore a dirty hat. So he ran against Roosevelt. When he ran against Roosevelt at that time, Roosevelt, he was spending a little more money for the state, for the United States, because he put him to work. He was buying more rations, you know, to feed the poor people and all that. And anyhow, he ran it up to about $30 million. America was in debt for $30 million in 1932. So Al
Smith was running against Roosevelt, and when he was running against Roosevelt, he always knocked Roosevelt. He says, look at here, he says, look here, he says. Do we need a man now to handle the money? He says, look at that, he says. He put the country already, he says, already in $30 million. And that was a lot of money those days. If he's still living today, I bet you he's turned over in his grave to hear. Not millions, zillions of dollars that went in debt. Anyhow, so he lost. Roosevelt was my favorite too. He ran for 4 terms. He done very, very good. God bless him, he was very good. Not only him, but Eleanor too. She was pretty good. Very good. Now we're talking about a little before that, the St. Valentine's Massacre. St. Valentine's Massacre those days, it was something big, you know. Because all the gangsters, among themselves, they were fighting. Which you must have seen it in the movies. There was, what was his name? This, this is the movie now with Elliot Ness, you know. Elliot Ness is, he tells them exactly how it used to be. It is not, when he killed those guys in the garage at North Clark Street, God, that was something to talk about. That's one thing that when I saw the picture of it in the newspaper, because we had no television those days to see nothing like that. We see him now with Elliot Ness. You know. So anyhow, that was that. Now after we come now to the spirit of St. Louis. The spirit of St. Louis, it was Lindbergh, Charles Lindbergh. When he won across the ocean, you know, with the small plane. And he done something great. Those days there was something good. Anyhow, he won London and France, and we came back, and it was a big welcome and all those things, you know. And somebody kidnapped his son. I don't want to say the name because I don't know if he did or not. Anyhow, he was electrocuted. His name, they say that his name was Hoffman and all that, you know. And he took the money, and they found that he was a carpenter, and he hid the money in 2x8 planks that they had in the garage. He carved the planes inside, the lumber inside there, and he hid the money right in the planks, right in the 2x8. Anyhow, they found him guilty and they electrocuted him there. Now we're talking about Rudy Valley. Rudy Valley, he was my favorite also. Very good player. He was a good singer, and he used to sing with his, what do you call them, the megaphones? Yeah, there was something nice there. Rudy Valley. Yeah, let me tell you this. I'll tell you the song that he used to sing. I'm just a vagabond lover, in sort of a sweetheart it seems, and I hope that someday I'll discover her, the girl of my vagabond dreams. Now we're talking about the chain stores that used to be those days. The first store that used to be those days was Piggly Wiggly. Piggly Wiggly, when you go inside the store, they didn't have like they have now. You go inside and there was 4 pieces of steel there, and you get into one steel and you go inside, and there's no 2 guys can go through there. So you take a basket. Those days they had a market basket. And everything was loose. Everything was loose. So you go over there, buy pound rice, there's a bag of rice over there, you fill up whatever it was, you know, and you bring it up to the scale and weigh it, and sugar was loose, everything was loose. Weekly. Today, I went down to Florida about a few years ago, 10, 15 years ago, and they have in Florida the Piggly Weekly stores, but they're not. They don't sell merchandise loose. Everything is in package. Everything is in package.
Okay, the great stock market crash. What do you remember about that day? Where were you? What were you doing?
Well, it's now October 24, 1929. 1929 was the market crash. The stock market crashed. Everybody lost their money. People were jumping out of the windows. 30th, 30th, 12th, 40th, whatever it was there. They jumped out the windows because they lost all their money. And that's the thing that the people had the money, they lost money. I had no money, then I didn't lose no money. In 1929, when Roosevelt took over, we had the Depression, I didn't have no money to lose. I had to use the money that I had to use it for the business. So when I left $1, so I want to close my bank book. The bank book that I had was the John Bain Bank. John Bain, he used to live on the block where I used to live, on 82nd and Sangamon. And he had 11 banks. One was on 79th and National. 79th and National, that's where I had to mine my money in there. $1. I left $1 because I didn't want to close the account. So anyway, the banks closed up. And years after that, they were giving some money back. They were giving me, I think what was it? 14%. 14%. And at the time that I used to live close to John Bain over there, I moved out of there because I couldn't afford to pay the rent of the neighborhood there. So I moved in a cheaper neighborhood. When I moved away, 7, 8, 10, 14 years after that was, John Bain paid 14% of the money that the people lost in there. So he sent me a letter, the bank did, not John Bain. He sent me a letter and telling me that I paid 14%. 14% was a lot of money that those days, yeah, but I had to take the streetcar from where I used to live to go over to 79th and National to get 14 cents. 14 cents. It would have cost me 7 cents car fare to go over there to the bank and 7 cents to come back. So I wouldn't do nothing by that. So I just left it there. It's still there yet.
How were you personally affected by the crash?
How was I affected by the crash? Let me tell you how I was affected by the crash. When the crash came, I lost everything. I had a truck. I used to go down the market to buy vegetables and all I can sell. And when the crash came, I lost the store and I lost everything and I didn't have nothing. So I used to go down and buy a few fruits and vegetables and I used to peddle around the alleys. When I was peddling around the alleys, I used to make pretty good money. Make $10, $15 a day profit. That was a lot of money those days when I was working.
Who or what did you feel was most responsible for the Great Depression?
For the Great Depression, well, everybody, I got to go with the people. I didn't know nothing. I was just a kid. Like I said before, they asked me to buy the truck. It cost $1,340 for a Dodge truck, and I couldn't afford it. I had to have somebody to co-sign it because I was not old enough. And they wouldn't give me the truck. Then I had to pay cash for it. So, everybody blamed Hoover those days. I don't know. They say that Hoover he picked up his lot of gold and loaded it up in a boat. Then he was taking it to England at that time, you know. Then Roosevelt came along and he turned the boat, come back here and saved the gold. I don't know. Everybody, that's politics, you know. I don't know. Anyhow.
What were the major hardships suffered by you and your family here during the Depression?
Well, at that time, like I said before, I was married and I had a kid that time. So I was paying $25 a month rent, and I worked for a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. God bless him, he's passed away now anyhow. And he was giving me $17.25 a week. And I said, Steve, I can't live on that stuff. I said, you got to give me a little more money. No, he says, I can't afford to do it. I said, all right, anyhow. So, as I was working for this guy, he wanted to, my brother says to me, he wanted to go and open up business. I said, no, I can't afford it right now. He says to me, because we ain't got no money. What the hell, I ain't got no money. So, I was living on 78th and Justine. That time I had no job with my friend over there because he couldn't afford to pay me, so I had to quit. I quit. Then a big storm came that winter. Anyhow, I got a job down on 64th and Horton. That was quite a ways, about 15 miles from here. Yeah. So we had a big storm. Storm came along at that time, and I had to walk. The streetcars wouldn't budge. They wasn't working. So I had to walk from 79th and Exeter to 64th and Horton. And there was so much snow that I didn't have no boots, nothing at that time. So I used to put newspapers around my pants over there and my shoes and walk over there. 3 days in a row, walk there and come home. Every day. And I was making around about $30 a week. It was a lot of money, but anyhow. And I remember this thing very clearly, very clearly. I used to work 18 hours a day. 18 hours a day. I come home, I walk in the dark in the morning, it was winter time, and I come home in the dark too. There was nobody bothering you. No, there was nothing to bother you. So, anyhow, that was my hardship. Yeah.
What did you do for any sort of entertainment during the Depression?
Well, for entertainment, I used to stay home, go up and down the stairs, take a walk outside in the yard. I never smoked. Those days I never smoked. So, a lot of people, they get nervous and all that. You know, they start smoking or drinking. Then I didn't do nothing like that. I went to the fed. We had nothing to talk about, you know. We listened to the radio. That's the only thing we had. We had nothing else. That's no problem.
Were you or your family personally affected by any of Roosevelt's New Deal programs?
The New Deal helped us an awful lot because it was something that helped all the poor people. And the poor people that wasn't making a lot of money or nothing, so they used to go over there and get help from the New Deal. That's what the New Deal was for. It was something that we appreciate that, and God bless Franklin Delano Roosevelt there. He done many good things there. And I always liked his sitting in the fireplace there. He was talking, you know, about the divider. It was fireplace. Yeah, that's the something there.
What difference did living through the Depression make in your life?
Well, the New Deal, like I said before, it makes it to appreciate the dollar today. There was little money we were getting there, and we were satisfied. We couldn't go out and spend money and say, well, today that we're going to go out and spend $20, $10, $50. There was no such a thing. They only told you how to save a nickel for the rainy day. That's a thing that I still do today, but nobody else, my young generation that I met now with everybody, you know, nobody takes that word because They didn't go through with it. They didn't go through to say, well, I remember at the time that Franklin Delano Roosevelt said this and said that, you know. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was good, and his uncle was good, which I never met him. He died before. That was Teddy Roosevelt. Okay, now it was very nice for my grandson Dimitri. Very nice. I appreciate that you brought me out to tell you exactly what I went through my life. That's something that I want everybody to know, that what I went through. Now from there on, you think it over yourself. When I say you save a nickel for a rainy day, I had a friend one time, I don't want to say his name, but I have a son. His name is George. And I asked him one time, you know, to save a nickel for a rainy day. You know what his answer was? Are you ready to listen? He says to me, when it rains that day, he says, I'll buy an umbrella.
Interviewing John Sarlas. Okay, in which branch he served in the war in America? In which branch of the armed forces did you serve?
I served in the anti-aircraft, the AAA, what they call it. I was stationed in Washington, D.C. And I was there for about 40 days there, just laying around till then. And my time came on to be on a KP duty. And all of a sudden the sergeant says, the mess sergeant says, we need a cook. So one of the boys over there, his name was Pete Marino, he says, well, here's a Greek fellow over here, he must be all the Greeks are cooks anyhow, he says. I said, no, I don't know nothing. I says, I don't even know how to boil water. I says, no. I said, get in there, get us. So anyhow, they put me in there, sir, as a cook at the beginning. I didn't have to go to school either. Because at the time that I went over there, they needed a cook, so they tried the best they could. So they didn't send me to school. And little by little, I learned. It was the other cooks, they put up with me, and they teach me, and I learned. So I was in there for about, let's see, about 8 months, 8 or 9 months. And while I was in there, at the time, it was a winter time, it was February. So one of the fellas, there was an officer came in, his name was Jones, Captain Jones. So this fella says to me, you see, we only serve the soldiers over there, no officers. So he knew better than that, and of course, to get a coffee, you know, or he asked me, I says, can I have a cup of coffee? I says, yes, sir, you can. And that morning, I had to make some pineapple upside down cake. When I made the cake over there, I took it out before this Captain Jones walked in. And I gave him the coffee, and he says to me, can I have a piece of cake too? I said, yes, sir. So I gave him a piece of cake. He says, what's your name? I told him, oh, my name is John Sarlas. I says, I'm here just a few months. I says, they put me as a cook. I didn't know nothing about cooking. He says, did you fix this pineapple upside down cake? I said, yes, sir, I did. He says to me, how long you been in the service? What's your rating? He says to me. I says, just PFC. I says to him, I ain't got no rating at all. He says, you have no rating and you bake cakes like this, he says. Anyhow, he came over the next morning, he says, you be out there, he says, outside at the, I don't know what the heck it was. I was going to get a rating, you know. So anyhow, I went outside there, John C. Sarlas, PFC, they gave me one stripe there. So when I got the stripe that time, 2 weeks later, the same Captain Jones, he says, Mr. Sarlas says, you get out there tomorrow, he says, you're going to get another stripe. I says, for what? I don't do nothing. I says, yes, says, you get out there. So I became a corporal there. 2 weeks later, I became a corporal. So anyhow, he was a very nice fellow, that sergeant there. I used to violate the rules, you know. I used to go downtown. I was working as a short cook for some Greek restaurant down there. And while I was working this, once in a while, I used to bring a bottle of whiskey, you know, as usual, you know, like everybody else did. I bring it. So we got together, and he was nice to me, and I was nice to him, and everything. So one day he says to me, it was about 2 or 3 months after that. He says to me, tomorrow morning, he says, you'll be out there, he says to me. I said, well, what's going on again? He says, I want to be out there. So that's the time I became a sergeant. He made me a sergeant. Technical first, technician fourth. Who? John Sarlas. I was nothing. Anyhow, the guy was good to me. And when I done all the cooking there all the time. Then I used to go down in the evenings. I used to work during the daytime. In the evenings, I'd go down at the restaurant, and I made $10 at night. I used to work from 6 o'clock in the evening till 12 o'clock midnight. So this guy here gave me $10. I was making money, too.
What were your living quarters like?
Well, living quarters was good there. Oh, we just lay around there. We'd eat, drink. We didn't have to work. When we were off, we didn't have to work at all. We just lay around there. And when the inspection party comes along, goes through, once a week we had an inspection party go through there. And if we didn't have our bed fixed or nothing, we just lay there. They can't say nothing, because when you're a cook, you work 24 hours and you got 24 hours off. Those 24 hours, no matter if the inspection party goes through there, you just lay there. You just lie there. Nobody bothers you. And many times there was, when the inspection party, they was pretty strict. So one time, there was an inspection party came along, and they asked the sergeant there, Sergeant Lenford, his name was. So when they came through, we used to keep the flour, the sugar, everything in a barrel, in canvas barrel. And when we were, there was the flour there and the sugar, so the inspection party, they opened up the cover to see what's in there. So while it was in there, the open part, there was 2 cockroaches in there, right in the flour. He says, Sergeant, what's this? He says, he lost it, he forgot. He got scared so bad. He says, saw the cockroach over there, says, what's this cockroach over there? He says, sir, he says, these roaches, they don't belong to us. They belong to Captain B, and they were passing through the they were going through there.
So you really didn't do any fighting, huh?
Well, I was fighting with the pots and pans in the kitchen there. There was there's a lot of war going on in the kitchen over there.
Oh, so the war over here was just as bad as in Europe, huh?
Oh, yeah, it was bad over there. Very bad. That's one thing that always the kids that want to go fighting. I was up in years, you know. I didn't want to go fight because...
You were smarter.
No, not smarter. I was older than that. And the kids, well, if I was 16, 18 years old, I would rather like to go and fight there for my country. Mm-hmm. And... all those kids, you know, I felt sorry for all of them, you know, when they went to invasion there in Europe there. That was terrible there. That was terrible. Yeah.
What part of the war did you remember as being the worst time for America?
Well, the worst time, it was Pearl Harbor. When we heard them, when they were trying to make peace here in America, this Japanese officials, they were trying making them right behind us. They were in bomb Pearl Harbor. The poor kids over there, they were just laying around. They were having a good time. I think it was on a Sunday morning. They must have had church services at the time. I don't know. But anyhow, and they came over there and they bombed us, killed all the guys there. That was terrible. That was terrible there. They didn't give us no time to, get prepared. They were coming, or they were, at least you can prepare yourself, defend yourself.
So, okay, back here now. What did you and your soldiers do for entertainment?
For entertainment, just play cards there, sit around the PX over there, drinking beer, go outside in the wintertime, in the summertime there, lay around the grass there. I used to see the kids over there, the police in the area there. They used to, the kids used to smoke and throw the cigarette butts out. So the next day, they put us pick up the cigarette, not me. I never done that. They had to pick up the butts, and clean up the area there.
Okay, what did you think at this time about FDR, Winston Churchill, Stalin, and Hitler, Mussolini, and Japanese?
Well, we had three of the best people ever. It was Roosevelt, Stalin, and Churchill. There was nothing better than that. They were trying to, so we can win the war and stop killing. And Churchill, he always smoked a cigar. He's got to have a cigar there. They always met in the ocean. They always met overseas. And they were trying to slow things down, so they won't kill the kids. As for the Hitler, Tojo, and Mussolini, they were the devils. They were the devils. Those guys there, they just wanted to do the killing there. Mussolini, he was taking orders from Hitler. Tojo, whatever Hitler was saying there, because Hitler was the big shot of the three of them there. And we used to have this generals over there, this General Patton. General Patton was overseas. His name was not only General Patton, his name was Blood and Guts. He's the one that he got killed overseas there by his jeep. He tipped over there. Nice man there. He was very good there. Then we had General MacArthur in the Pacific Ocean there. Two of the best generals there. And Patton, MacArthur says, if you remember that, he says, I shall return. That's after he had to give up the islands over there. And he says, I shall return, which he did. He went back there. And
what did you think of the detention camps for the Japanese Americans?
Detention camps, they were all right, but they were treated like they should be treated. Over there, if they had our boys over there, they'd kill them. We had the boys over here, the detention camp, some Italians and some Japanese there, and when they sit down to eat, the sergeant used to tell them, when you get up here, he says, and clean up this, clean up the pots and everything. So the guy, the prisoners over there, says they were looking at the clock. He said, no, he says, we got 5 more minutes. They want to say that they had the rights to sit down and eat their food for a half hour or an hour, whatever it was. And they were treated just like us, yeah. Yeah.
What did you think of the dropping of the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
That was on God bless Mr. Truman. He was good. He was good. That guy there, it wasn't educated men like the other generals and the presidents and everybody. He was good. He was. He says that I'm gonna go over there and take care of him. And they sent the airplane over there. They didn't know where they were going. The guys, they didn't know where they were going until they dropped the bomb over there. Yeah.
Okay, now where were you, or what were you doing when you heard about D-Day?
D-Day, I was cooking. Well, what I don't know what I was cooking now, but anyway, I was cooking that time. I was in the kitchen.
Okay, what about VE Day?
The same thing. I was a cook.
And JV Day?
Same thing. That's how we're cooking there. We had to take care of the boys. We had to take care of 300 boys there. I was cooking for them.
What about the death of Roosevelt?
Death of Roosevelt, that was a shock. Shock to the whole world, especially the Allies. When he passed away, he done so many good things. So many good things that Roosevelt did. He took the country out of the depression.
Which products do you remember were rationed in the U.S.?
Well, everything was rationed. Canned goods was rationed, meat was rationed, red stamps, those are red stamps for the meat, that was something. Coffee was rationed also. And gas was rationed at that time. You had to have stamps for all that stuff. So there was a lady there by the name Mrs. Benson. And we used to sell many times. We had coffee on sale without coupons. So whoever come over there to buy it was rationed, and we could charge overprice, you know, there was a limit. And when the customer come in, they just take the coffee, you know, and put it away and save it, you know, for rainy day, you know. They were taking the coffee and there was no coupons out, they save it. So when this lady, when the war was over, she came at the store, and she says to me, John, she says, I got 20 pounds of coffee in my house, she says, and all these years, it must be stale by now. I said, where'd you get it? She says, when it was on sale, she says, I used to buy it. I said, what do you want me to do about it? He says, can you take it back? He says, give me some fresh coffee. Give me some fresh coffee.
Okay, now when you came home from the war, did you have trouble finding a job?
Well, there was no jobs, very few jobs. But for me, I was a businessman. You know what kind of businessman I was? I was a fruit and vegetable man. I used to go in a little store, you know, where the butcher shop was, and I put a few orange boxes down there, and I say to him, can I put a few vegetables right here, right in the butcher shop? I say, and while your customers are coming to buy meat, they can buy vegetables too. So the guy says to me, well, how much you want to pay? I said, well, whatever I can. I said, $20 a month. I just do $15, $20 a month, $30 a month rent, you know. So anyhow, we fixed it for $15, $20, whatever it was there. And the customers were coming in while they were buying the meat, they were buying my vegetables too. And I was making a little bit money. I was a big businessman. Big businessman. My investment was nothing there, $20, $30, that's all it was. I was trying to make a living, that's all. I wasn't cheating the customers or nothing. I said, just try to make a living. Yeah, when I had the store at the time, I went in another store, and I opened up my store, and the butcher was next door. So while the butcher was next door, I opened up store, and I had, you know, pretty good, not just orange boxes, I had stand and everything in there. And while I was in there, business was going along pretty good. And butcher shop, the customers used to call the butcher shop, they used to instead of calling me up and then call the butcher up, we had a hole in the wall there. We made a hole in the wall there. We had two telephones. My telephone from this side and the butcher's telephone from the other side. And when the customer called up, the butcher used to call me, John, he says telephone. So instead of, if he couldn't hear me, we had a little bell over there. Ding, 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 to ring the telephone over there, a little bell, like Christmas bell, you know. And I go over there, I answer the telephone, take the order, mark things down, you know, and we delivered both orders, both the butcher shop and me, we delivered this, one delivery. Instead of the butcher going over to their house first and then I go to their house later, you know. So we used to go together at the same time. And we're making a little bit of money. No, it wasn't much money, but it was something anyhow. So we were.
Do you still see any of the men in your former units?
No, there was one guy there, the Spit Marino. He's the guy that we went to service together and we come out together. And I lent him one time $30. And he says to me, Johnny, says, I got to have some, he was married at that time, I wasn't married. And he says, I got to have $30 to send home to my wife. I said, okay, Pete, I said, here it is. I give it to him, you know, and he never paid me back. We got out together. When I went home, he went by his way, and I went my way. So one time, I used to make wine for my house, and I had a few barrels of wine downstairs, you know, and I used to go and buy the grapes down at the track on 22nd Street, 22nd and Windward. Or Windward was it? Anyhow. And when I went over there, I found him. He was buying grapes for himself. He was going to make grapes. Pete met him. I said, Pete, what are you doing here? He says, I'm buying grapes. I says, how you doing? He says, I'm doing all right. I says to him, how about the $30? He said, you know what he says to me? He says, I haven't got it. He says, I said, all these years, I said, you haven't got it? I says, do you haven't got it? So anyhow, he went by his way and I went my way. I forgot all about it. That's the only guy I saw after I got out of the service. Well, you can ask me.
Where were you and what were you doing when John Kennedy got assassinated?
When John Kennedy got assassinated, I was working in the store. And while I was working in the store there, there was a lady there by the name Chrisman. She had about 10, 12 cats there. Oh, she always took care of them. And she came over to the store to get some cat food for the cats. And when she came in, she says to me, it was about noontime. She says to me, did you hear the latest? I says, what? She says, John Kennedy got assassinated. I said, no kidding. I says, yeah. Anyhow, there was a big thing there, so we waited. We watched at nighttime. It showed in the movies over in the TV, where Jacqueline Kennedy, whoever gave her a bouquet of flowers, beautiful flowers that she had while she was in there with her husband in the car, and she dropped the flowers, or she threw the flowers out of the car, and showed that in the picture where the flowers were on the ground, the ones that she was carrying. And she must have went to the hospital there with her husband, whatever it was there. That's the time when, what's the fellow there from Texas? Lyndon B. Johnson, he became a president all of a sudden after he died. Immediately, he was sworn in. Lyndon B. Johnson and Lady Bird.
When do you remember did you get your first television set?
Television set until I got married. I never had television set. No, that was years after. I couldn't afford to buy that stuff. I used to buy cars here and there. First I used to have bicycles, and then I'd buy cars. That was my hobby. But television, there wasn't much interest in, you know. I was just running around with the girls there. That's all I was doing, killing time.
What was your feelings on Vietnam and Watergate? Did you?
Oh,
Were you
Vietnam.
aware at this time?
Yeah, Vietnam was, I wasn't much interested in that. I remember when Watergate was going on there, I never thought in my mind that the people that we elected, that they're going to do something like that. I never had that in mind because we trusted the people there. And when it came, it was a shock to me, big shock. Oh boy, boy. Just like the Gaylords over here now in Chicago. Oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. All the judges they put in jail there, they got to go in jail there for a good many years, there, 20, 30 years, $100,000 fine, $200,000 fine, and 15 years in jail and all that. It's terrible, terrible. We elected those people so they can serve us. That's something that I never expected it's going to be anything like that, because I'm an innocent man. I can say that. I don't have that devil in my mind to do something wrong to anybody. I'm that kind of a fella there. When somebody tells me something bad, I just look the other way, and I don't want no trouble. I don't want to hear no trouble. I don't want no trouble at all. I'm that kind of a guy. These fellas here that they were this Gaylords and all this Nixon and all that, those guys, I don't know, they were just trying to do favors or something there. I can't say nothing because I don't know too much about politics.